G'day everybody and welcome to this video. I decided to make a video to explain a conversation that I recently had with a member of the community regarding an exchange, and I'm going to run off some handwritten notes about that as usual and go through three stages. I'm going to describe the conversation, I'm going to describe my response to it, to this person, and then talk about the implications, perhaps mixed in together at various times as well. I think there's some insights about personal freedom that we can gain from this and other aspects of free exchange. The conversation went like this, where we were exchanging good for good, and we were actually netting out the value of the agreed value of those goods that we were exchanging in silver. And I won't describe the goods, I won't describe the person for reasons of confidentiality. It's really irrelevant. It's the principles behind this conversation and the person's thinking that I really want to highlight. The conversation went something like this. Hey, look, I'm really glad that we've done this. I'm really glad we've done this exchange, and I'm really glad that you're actually setting up this group because I understand what it is you're about, and it's a great idea. Typical sort of a response from many people. Then came the but. This person said, I actually don't want to promote my products in this group, or I don't want you as the market maker to promote my products in this group because I've got a dollar-based business going on behind this, which I'm supplying products to your group from. Now, if word gets out, or word will inevitably get out about the fact that I'm offloading these products from this business into your group. And I don't want people to know because someone's going to complain about this or is likely to complain about this, and that could put our dollar-based business at risk. Excuse me. And I'm afraid of what that might actually incur in terms of my relationship with the people around me in the dollar-based community. And certain legal implications of it. We don't want to put our other businesses at risk. Now, my response to this person at the time was, and this person will hopefully view this video and they can correct me if I'm wrong, but basically, yeah, that's fine. There's no obligation on you. It's not a judgment on you as a person. The point of the group that we're doing is actually about and I'm not going to promote their products as they've said, although what we can do is do basic exchanges with them. So they grow stuff in their garden, we exchange it on a personal basis, not necessarily with me acting as a market maker for other parties within the group. It gives some insights into how this group actually operates, or the intention of how the group can operate, and also into the reasons why people cannot actually claim their own freedom, or do not want to claim their own freedom, or say they do not want to. Certainly there's no obligation on people to exchange, and it's very important that the way that this group works is we make offers, negotiable offers, which can either be accepted or not, or negotiated further. These are voluntary offers that may or may not be taken up. Because if they're not taken up, the other person obviously thinks, well, the value in that exchange is not good enough for me to accept it. But if they do accept it, then you've got two parties coming together. They're both adding value to each other. With regards to the reasons why people can't exchange in this system and thus cannot claim their freedom, I mean, clearly from that conversation, there's an element of social status or perhaps ostracism if you are to conduct a free exchange. And this was actually seen in the recent pandemic, where people were called conspiracy theorists for thinking that it's not actually a good idea to do certain things that were mandated. Now, I don't talk about politics very much in this group, but that's one aspect of it because it relates to why people do not want freedom in general. Another aspect of it is the regulation. Clearly, in that example, it is the regulations as implemented in law and the possible punishments that could be incurred if those regulations are not followed. A further aspect of it, which is key, again, which is about what this group is about, is the finance. This person's dollar-based business is financed in dollars. That alone is a reason why they cannot or do not want to exchange with free people with gold and silver in volume. I'm also going to make a further observation, which relates to philosophy and morality, and a key aspect of why people do not want to accept freedom. First of all, I will say that morality precedes freedom. This is a key finding that I personally have made with regards to gaining our freedom. Freedom does not come first and then we become moral beings. First we act as moral beings, then the freedom comes. Or perhaps they occur together, but certainly morality cannot come after the freedom. My point is that people are actually not permitted to engage as free people. Michael, did you really say that? Yes, I did. If our relationship with the state and with government, which are basically people who make arbitrary dictates, and the nature of that relationship is through the creditor-debtor relationship of the dollar, remembering that the dollar is a credit instrument, then we're not permitted to engage outside of the dollar. We're not permitted by government to exchange freely. Freedom is actually illegal. Now, this is another point I want to make. We should be very careful to equate the moral with the immoral with the illegal, or rather, we should not equate the moral with the legal, because the rules of government are not necessarily moral, even though they have the power through state-based law, not private law, but state-based law, to make arbitrary dictates. It highlights the nature of the dollar, which is of the dollar and of the state, our relationship with the state, which is fear, force, threat of force, initiation of force, ostracism, and servitude. So, in order to escape or to gain our freedom, we must resist. Sure, we must resist. But I like to see it as declining the offer of the state. The state makes you offers which we accept or do not accept. It is our choice whether we want to accept that offer or not. It is not a pure force. It's a two-way exchange with the state. In order to claim our freedom as moral and free beings, we must be willing to act. And an exchange of a good for good, a physical good for a good, or a physical good for a produced good for gold or silver or copper is an act of freedom. So why don't people do it? For all the reasons that I've aforementioned, and for the reasons which were stated by this person in that conversation. Okay, it's very important in this group, highlighted in this conversation, that we maintain high standards of quality, or at least it is to me. But it's standards of quality that we maintain ourselves. We decide what those standards of quality actually are. Which leads us into the next point about trust. This conversation highlights the absolute importance of trust in this group and the importance of trust between free people. Do we trust each other to pay each other, truly pay each other, when we know that the dollar is a credit instrument? Do we trust the quality of the product? Do we trust the quality of the metals that are being offered? Do we trust the credit worthiness of those who both offer and accept credit? And an important point is that, do we trust that we will not be betrayed by leaking information out to those who may not be trusted with that information, or maybe even impose force on us and prevent us from trading, or attempt to prevent us from trading? Trust is inherent. That's why I say trust is inherent to all human exchange, including spot exchanges. It's also why this group is about people dealing with people that we know and trust to the level of friends and family. That's why when I bang on about the bill of exchange, people must know who's issuing credit and who's receiving credit. If you write a bill of exchange, you know who the counterparty is, and you can assess their credit worthiness and their trustworthiness But I want to make a key point. Listen carefully. This group will be betrayed at some point. I'll say it again. This group will be betrayed. Will that stop us from engaging with each other as free people? If we think we're really free, will that stop us from engaging with each other if we know that this group is going to be betrayed? No, of course not. What we will do is we will prevent it from happening to the best of our ability, but we will also deal with it because we have each other's backs. We deal with each other as people that we trust. Yet another important point that's highlighted to me from this conversation is that just basic spot exchanges, goods for goods, goods for metals, are very important to get this, to initiate the group, or to basically sprout the acorn. I mean, I bang on about bills of exchange, and they are important. They're a game changer. But basic spot exchanges, every single one is important, and every single one is welcome. The ones that passed us by, sure, they have, for various reasons, but we can do what we can do through spot exchange, starting with that. And perhaps a bill arises from that spot exchange, or the need to do so in the future. I would say that freedom is a choice. It's a choice that we make today. It's also an act. It's something that we can do. Now, exchanging gold and silver for products is a simple act of real freedom. I want to make one final point about market makers. I'm the market maker in this group at the moment, and there will be more as the group grows. But those market makers, or a market maker, does not have the backing of the state in terms of the state law. In actual fact, the market maker makes private exchanges and acts on their own account. What that means is the market maker acts at their own risk. What they do is they facilitate trade, exchange, and one of the advantages of that is they increase the volume of sales. So you can bring bulk products in and distribute them to the group. When they do so, they act on their own account, their own risk. Freedom is an act of courage, because the threat is there is always someone there who is imposing some element of force on us, or there will always be those people, even though we can push them back. Those market makers, a market maker is also doing an act of courage because they're taking a risk, and they are also trusting, and they're embodying all the principles of the group. And I just thought I'd make that point about that. So that's enough for now. I've actually covered some fairly heavy topics there, but that conversation was really insightful into the nature of what's going on. Why can't people, and why don't people just take this up? Or don't they maybe want to, but can't, maybe want to, but don't. And there are even deeper reasons than that. And we're hoping to explore the philosophy and principles behind that in time as well, because some of those ideas take a little while to get your head around. That's enough for now. Thanks for that. Thanks for those people who've made exchanges so far. I think we've actually made a pretty good start. We've written some bills, we've produced and exchanged products for metals. We can grow it. And it's from that beachhead that we can continue to grow our freedom. So thank you, and look forward to continuing exchange with you.